You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back to the program. Joining me now, Mike Mills. He is Arkansas Secretary for Parks, Heritage, and Tourism. Good to see you, sir.
Yes, sir. Nice
Thank you for being here.
No, thank you.
Back from El Dorado, back from Petit Jean. You got the greatest job in state government because you travel all the time.
Well, I get to go out and check out state parks and heritage natural areas, and so it's not a bad gig.
You were down in El Dorado for a big tourism conference down there. Kind of what were some of the big takeaways?
You know, the great thing about the Governor's Conference on Tourism is we try to provide little golden nuggets for the industry. And so we did everything from, you know, keep Arkansas beautiful to keynote speakers that motivate you. And then the governor, of course, came down. We do awards for the industry award stuff. And it's just a lot of fun. And it was really a great conference. A lot of feedback saying they really enjoyed it. They took home those nuggets. And El Dorado did a great job of just rolling out the red carpet.
Tourism obviously hit hard during COVID-19. It was the industry that probably showed the biggest, deficiencies and things in there. But big rebound now. You see the numbers back in tourism numbers. You see the employment coming back. Just what was the air of optimism, talking to some of the operators, some of the business people in that industry?
You know, parts of the tourism industry were hit hard. So if you owned a hotel, motel, lodging facility like that, but other parts exploded. So if you had cabins in the middle of nowhere or an RV park, those businesses jumped dramatically. So overall, COVID was not that bad a deal for many Arkansas tourism operators. The employment has jumped back up, and that's because, once again, the hoteliers and that kind of stuff are back putting people to work.
100-year anniversary of the state parks, near and dear to your heart. You guys were at Petit Jean to commemorate that. Tell me a little bit about why do you think that state parks, I mean, there's 52 of them,
52.
Is that correct? What's made it work for 100 years to the level that it's at now?
You know, first of all, Arkansas just has some incredible places for a state park. And so we've got waterfalls and history and prairies and mountains and rivers. I mean, you name it, if you want to go outside and have fun, Arkansas has that facility, and it's in a state park. So 100 years old, well, how do you celebrate a century? It's just fun. And plus we're going to connect the last 100 years with the next 100 years.
Yeah.
So
what does that entail? Well,
it's taking the kids. You know, we've got a junior park ranger program for age 6 to 14, and so it's taking them and letting them learn about the assets that we have in the state parks and to preserve those for the future.
Governor Sarah Sanders' husband Brian is kind of the head of a new council that's been created to capitalize on the outdoors and tourism as an industry in Arkansas. Tell me a little bit about that and why we need a separate council for that versus the Parks and Recs Council, for instance.
Well, the Parks and Tourism Commission has a role in guiding the Arkansas State Parks and the Tourism Division. The council is being put in place with some of the great minds in Arkansas to really give the governor advice on how to jump to the next level. And that means the world stage. I mean, literally, how do we put the recreation opportunities in Arkansas on the world stage? And we already are. There's a bike thing coming up soon that has 35 teams. 10 are from outside the United States. I mean, we're playing on the world stage.
Tell me what you think the potential is, and tell me who you think are going to be, tell me what some parts of that tourism industry are going to look like in terms of, for instance, bike racing is one of those things. Probably not something in my generation. We rode bikes, but it was around the neighborhood, Mike, you know. No, we didn't do bike racing. So
I lived out in the country, so I rode on dirt roads and jumped pond banks.
But you've got that, you've got airplane tourism, you got motorcycle tourism. I mean, there's some really kind of niche things that are going on out there that I don't think people are super aware of.
Well, and the niche things are growing. They start off as niche, but then biking, mountain biking and gravel biking and all those kind of things, they've spread to everybody. I mean, even old guys like us. I mean, we see people out there of all ages, and we have trails for all ages. And so one of the things that this initiative is doing is making sure we have the maintenance to keep these trails up. And then we're going to look at spreading out people. The Buffalo River is always going to be a star for the state of Arkansas. So how do we get more people paddling the Saline River or the Cossatot River or other places in Arkansas, Spring River, Strawberry, Big Piney, Mulberry? I mean, I can go through a litany of lists, but how do we spread that out? And that's one of our challenges. And of course, we've got eastern Arkansas with a lot of prairies and a lot of agriculture that can be tapped into tourism. Agritourism is a coming thing. And the Delta Heritage Trail over in next to the Mississippi. Those are the kind of things that we're going to promote and lift up.
I don't get to ask you what your favorite state park is, do I?
No.
Okay.
There's
all right.
52 of them.
You love them all. They're all
I've
your
been
children.
To 54.
You've been to 54. You've been to 2 that closed.
Parks. Well, Buffalo River and Lost Valley were state parks before the Buffalo National River came into being. And so I was at both of those parks before 1972, and once they were donated to the National Park System, I told our parks director one time I'd been to 54 state parks, and he looked at me and says, "No, we only have 52, but we used to have 2 more."
That's funny. All right, there's one more big tourism attraction that's going to be coming online this year, and that's the Arkansas Museum of Fine Arts, the old Arkansas Arts Center. What do you think that's going to do nationally, maybe even internationally, for Arkansas tourism?
Well, it's not the only one coming on. I think the Arts Center, the new Arts Center, is going to be fantastic. It will give us an opportunity to display art from around the world, literally. Marshall's Museum in Fayetteville, in Fort Smith, that's going to be coming online this summer. So we're going to have more and more museums. You know how many museums we have in Arkansas?
I do not.
It's over 150.
Wow.
So
and you got the Cold War Museum up in Blytheville that you guys have been making some investments in.
Over in Marion. I mean, we're going to see some really great museums come online.
Yeah, I got to wrap it up here, but just for people to know, you got to always be putting more product into the pipeline out there. You got to keep reinventing yourself. That's what brings more people coming back. All right. Mike Mills, Secretary of the Parks, Heritage, and Tourism Agency, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
All right. We're back to wrap up right after this.